And welcome back to the show. I'm Joe Concha along with my co-hosts Rick Unger, Heather Hansen, and Brad Hirschfield. Baltimore officials are struggling to find a way to stop the surge of deadly violence after the police custody death of Freddie Gray. This Memorial Day weekend was a bloody one. Police say there were 32 shootings in which 9 people died, and May have been the deadliest month since 1999. 35 people have died in the last 30 days alone, raising the number of murders to 108 this year.
The uptick in violence is distressing and it's disheartening, and especially when you think about how far we have come. I remain resolved to work with the police department and the community to get this under control.
There have been more than 36 murders since the death of Freddie Gray. 6 police officers have been indicted in the case. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake came under intense criticism when she seemed to condone some of the violence that turned into rioting last month.
It's a very delicate balancing act, because while we tried to make sure that they were protected from the cars and the other things that were going on, we also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. I never said, nor would I ever say, that we are giving people space to destroy our city. So my words should not be twisted.
When you see numbers like these, it's hard not to say that this isn't a failure of leadership, both at the mayoral level and the police commissioner.
Well, look, I think it's a mistake to keep going back to that terrible thing she said a month ago. I don't think that has any bearing on what is happening right now. Actually, I think the person who had it right, and I disagreed with you, was you, Heather, when you said the other day that this is the police basically staging a slowdown of sorts. And the more I'm seeing and the more I'm hearing, the more I'm agreeing with that. And that, to me, is really upsetting. If the police don't want to do their job, they should go get another job. It's not okay for them to slow down because they're upset that some of their fellow police officers have been charged with crimes.
Heather, when you say slow down, is it because police are disheartened by the fact that they have, obviously 6 of their officers have been indicted, so they say, you know what, if the city doesn't support me, then maybe I don't feel like doing my job as aggressively? Or are they just simply doing with one hand tied behind their back because they can't be as aggressive as they used to be in terms of profiling, in terms of weeding out bad seeds?
I think it's an unconscious thing, Rick. I don't think that it's a conscious thing where they're like, we're not going to do our jobs. I think they are afraid. I mean, when you look back to the news of the people, of the community.
What's different?
And because in the past they have been, they've now had 6 of their brothers be arrested for doing the, right. But that is something that is going to be, and it's natural. You know, when you look back when those 2 police officers in New York City were killed in December, the arrests dropped down 66% for the following month. This is a natural progression after this type of thing happens, where police officers are afraid and criminals are empowered. And the combination of those 2 things leads to statistics like what we're seeing.
I have to disagree with that. Number one, the arrest dropped down in New York not because those 2 poor officers were killed, but they were so angry at the mayor. That's number one. Number two, it's unacceptable to use that as an excuse. It really is. And you said it. You said they're upset that the 5 or 6 police officers were arrested. Well, guess what? The police are not above the law, and if they're charged and indicted with the crime, they get arrested and they get tried. And that does not justify other police officers not doing their job. It's very simple. Do your job according to the rules, and you don't have to worry.
But the pattern that it seems to be here with Bill de Blasio in New York and now Rawlings Blake down in Baltimore is that the appearance was that it was the mayors taking the side of the protesters, rioters, whatever we want to call them, against the police, and then the police rebelling back against the mayor. So we saw it in New York, we saw it in Baltimore. Am I warm here on this?
I think you're more than warm. I don't think we can judge intent on the part of the police as easily as you
are.
are.
If you're saying he's warm, then you are judging.
No, because where he's warm on it, it's not just a sense of. We know in Baltimore, the mayor and the prosecutor went into the streets and said, we hear your call, no justice, no peace. Why is the mayor and why is the prosecutor not in the street tonight saying no peace, no justice? For no justice, no peace to be an authentic claim, and there are times when it is, the counterclaim of no peace, no justice is also an obligation.
totally okay with that
And they're
argument.
not out in the streets
I am
doing
totally
that.
okay,
And they
but
have
that's
to be
not,
out in the streets doing
that's
that.
a good argument. It's a great argument. I agree with you 150%, and it has nothing to do with crime going up.
It has
Wait,
everything to do with it.
No,
Crime
it
is
doesn't. If the
socially
mayor,
constructed,
if
it happens in
no,
the context,
guys, let's get
and that's
real.
what you just
No.
said. They
Let me say
gotta
something.
get out there
Let me
and do
say
their
something.
job.
Say something, we
Let's
have to
get
move on.
real. If the mayor went out in the middle of the city this very moment and said what you just said exactly, you think crime is going to suddenly reduce?
I absolutely think it'll make a
Oh,
difference for one
please.
reason,
You can't
because then
take
people
any
would
of these
feel
things-
that it's as much an act of social justice to stand with the cops and against crime
This
as
isn't
they
about
do to
social
riot.
justice. It's people killing people.
Let's move on.
They're not
Meanwhile,
interested in
in Melbourne, Florida, police say an angry crowd attacked a police officer as he tried to make an arrest this weekend. Police say 22-year-old Phoenix Lowe became combative as the officer tried to make the arrest. Police say the crowd struck the officer, yelled at him, and tried to pull him away from the suspect. Said suspect briefly got away before being arrested. Police say this was actually the second time in as many weeks that a crowd had interfered with an arrest. Is this a possible
This is-
sign of disrespect?
Absolutely, and this is exactly what Brad's talking about. There's a changing culture. So, Rick, you can't take any one of these things in a vacuum. You can't say these police are just choosing not to do their jobs. There's fear there. There's frustration.
Then leave your job
Then-
and give it to somebody who's willing to do it.
Who? Who's going to be willing to
Well,
do the
let's
job
fi-
where you're
I
getting
bet you there's
shot,
a
you're
lot of
getting
people.
you're getting
Bet you there's
attacked
a-
by the media, you're
No,
getting attacked
tragically,
by
the people most willing
I'll
to do
bet
it at
there's
that
a
moment
lot.
and exercise force will do fierce force that's illegal.
And
So the irony is we're trying to get to a place where you're unafraid and willing to be forceful while you're being respectful of the
Well,
citizenry.
what about the
And that's why,
citizens
Joe,
who
it
are-
comes
who
back.
are afraid?
Let them march. Where is the marching in the streets that we want to be safe? And we will not accept anything less than
How
that.
does that
That's the
justify police
counterclaim.
officers backing off their jobs?
Because
And
no one's
by the
proved
way,
they're backing off their
yeah,
jobs.
Well, no,
It's
actually,
just
Heather
decision.
said it, and I agree.
No, I said that
agreeing
the
with doesn't make
cops
it
are
so.
empowered, and the police are. The fact that the police are not arresting the same comes from a number of things. It's not just one thing, and it's not
And
a
you're
conscious
okay with that?
decision.
You're
no,
okay
of
with
course
that?
not. But it's
Well,
not
then
they're not
due to
doing their
one
job.
particular thing.
You're not
Guys, we're
okay
going to talk
with
about
they're
this
not
more
doing
again,
their
I
job.
swear to you. Do you trust the government? This is the Daily Wrap. That's We Talk Next. Don't go anywhere.